Hello, friends. I am here to answer a call from the community.
It's my duty.
We were asked to show our rarest cards, as in our lowest graded population.
How low can you go?
And that got me to thinking, what are the populations of some of my more popular cards?
Massive.
So I'm going to be sharing that with you as well. So stick around and check it out.
I'll be right here.
Hello, friends. I am John, and I am a 3D 80s kid. All right, today is a great day to talk about baseball cards. And here I'm going to be responding to Josh over at Vintage Card Wonderland, who put a challenge out to the community about showing our lowest graded population cards. These would be counting up PSA and CGC tallies, which is really the bulk of vintage graded cards. But before I get into that, it made me start thinking.
That's dangerous.
And I was wondering, what are actually the graded populations of some of the more popular, newer post-war cards? Because, I have dug into populations on my pre-war cards quite a bit, because that really is a significant thing in the pre-war space of how rare most of these items are. So, just how rare are the popular items from post-war offerings?
Not at all. Not at all.
So, with that, let's take a look at what I have thrown together here. So here we go. There I am. All right, some population of some of the popular cards from my post-war vintage card collection as of data in February here of 2025. So let's take a peek. First up, 1971 Topps Roberto Clemente has a total graded population of 6,585. As you can see, this card from my collection looks extra sweet. Something about that extra 0.5 of the eye appeal just is something a little extra on this card, don't you think?
I know what you're doing.
So up next is 1968 Ernie Banks. So this being a little later in his career isn't quite as popular to get graded. And so we have a population now of 4,298 on that card. Up next, 1960 Mickey Mantle. Now, this is a guy that is far more heavily graded throughout his run of cards. And, that's because people are trying to maximize their value. They end up heavily transacted all the time, as he is the marquee face of the post-war vintage era. So there we go with 15,232 copies of this 1960 Topps card.
That's a lot.
Up next, 1957 Topps Hank Aaron with 8,366. Quite a lot for Mr. Hank there with, what would this be, his fourth year card? And then we got 1956 Ted Williams card with my beautiful OC, very sharp though, 2.5 with 6,452. And this is a case where there's actually two varieties of this card. This one being the white back, and then a less common gray back, which has somewhere around the neighborhood of 3,000. So if you kind of look at that as one grouping, there's, over 9,000 graded Ted Williams 56 Topps cards. So quite a few. Next, 55 Jackie Robinson being the one of the most heavily graded cards from this set with 10,147. Doesn't seem that PSA actually tallies those partial diamonds like SGC does, because then there was another separately listed, I think, 230 partial diamond cards for Jackie on the SGC side. So just a few more added to his total. And then we've got 1953 Topps Satchel Paige has over 8,000 of these that are graded. And now with us moving next is going to be moving into the Bowman, and it is quite a significant drop in population between the Topps and the Bowman then, with our first one here. 1952 Stan Musial at 2,784 total graded. So now here we're starting to get to a closer number to like the highest population sets from pre-war, which is going to be your 33 Gaudi or your T206 cards. The most common, if you combine the backs into one grouping for T206, then you end up with populations that exceed 2,000 for some of those cards. And you're getting similar numbers for the highest graded populations for the 33 Gaudi set, like the more common Ruth cards or a few of the other really marquee stars where they get every copy almost gets graded. Well, I can't say every copy. There's a lot of hardcore, keep it raw type guys out there still.
That's old school.
Yeah? No school like the old school.
But you know what I'm saying. But next, then it keeps dropping as we go back with the 51 Bowman Yogi Berra having 2,139. Now, this is almost a very similar number to what I remember as the populations of most of the 33 Gaudi Rus were right around this just over 2,000 to 2,200 sort of range. So you can kind of get an idea there where the Bowmans are not nearly as plentiful as the Topps cards. And then let's keep going back. We got the 50 Larry Doby, not quite as marquee of a guy because I did take a peek at like the Ted Williams from this set has about twice as many graded. So it's not quite as significant of a drop off with the highest level stars that are going to, have the most value. So they'll have the most graded because they're going to sell more. But still, it's dropping quite a bit. And
Like a rock.
then we go to 49 Bowman with Phil Risotto here, which he also has a name on front variation, which has a population of an additional, I believe it was somewhere around 250 to 300. So, around 1,200 total copies then of this card here in 49 Bowman. And just out of curiosity, I didn't include any of the 49 Leaf because the two guys I have on there are really lesser known or cared about at this point players, Bobby Dorr and Lou Boudreau. But I did take a peek at the populations on 49 Leaf, and they're actually very similar for like the Jackie card to the 49 Bowman. So really the delta in price between Bowman and Leaf is all a matter of demand.
Voodoo economics.
Because the supply is actually very similar between those two sets if you look at the population of the graded count. So that's one thing that was kind of so surprising. I mean, I had always thought in my head that the Leaf was actually a less common set. I know there are a few cards in it that are designated as short prints or super short prints. So, of course, those are going to be, in fact, lower quantities. But, the marquee card there with being Jackie in both those sets, it's really similar number. So, but with that, you're seeing that on the whole, post-war vintage is not really that rare. And, one of the things that strikes me then with like all the cards I'm collecting in pre-war that the Gaudis are going to be up near similar numbers to these early Bowman sets. But on the whole, everything else I'm collecting pre-war is a lot less plentiful. So
you just never know when opportunity is going to strike.
With that, let's get into the top 10 lowest population cards in my collection as of here, February 2025. And I say or 11 because I ended up with a tie for 10th with two cards. So I will go ahead and show both, but I'll only tally, my total number for 10 cards.
These cards are 11.
But so up first with my lowest population cards, I have got the 1928 W502 Lou Gehrig card with a population of 47. Now, this is a set that is designated as hand cut, but I personally still do not believe it. I've never seen one that looks like it is hand cut. They all have a very similar look to me of the F50 cards. We're talking the Yingling, Sweetman, and so forth. F50 1928 set look like they could have come from the same printer. Lots of them use the same photos, and they just kind of have a different font style here at the bottom of the card, as well as these ones are generally found either in a blank back or what appears to be a game where they say one bagger, two bagger, three bagger, or four bagger for, single, double, triple home run in old timey language, apparently. So,
The soggy bottom boys have been steeped in old timey material.
but mine is actually a blank back version of this Lou Gehrig card. And up next, also tied at 47, I've got the Ed Roush from the 1921 W516-2-2, which these designations with the dashes imply different variants. There are actually 5 different potential variants in this set, and it's based off of whether or not the picture is reverse negative or standard image. As you can see, mine is the reverse negative with the backward C there on his uniform. And also then variations occur with the font style at the bottom, as well as the numbering of the cards in the set. There are variations. So that's one of the quirks of this. And so you end up with these multiple variations. So this variation has a population of 47 for Ed Roush, which, one of the other things I haven't mentioned, being a Hall of Fame collector puts me at a disadvantage, in this challenge, because of what I'm finding in the pop reports is the Hall of Famers get graded more than your non-Hall of Famers. And being as all my pre-war cards are Hall of Famers, I'm, locked into higher population numbers in terms of the grading game. So,
oh, quit your whining.
It is what it is. This is all for fun anyways, but I just thought I should point out that item anyways. So up next at tied for number 8, card we saw recently, my first pickup of 2025, which was this Sports Illustrated test sticker of Dale Murphy from 1986 with a graded population of 44. So coming up in March, I'll be getting a card show in Portland that is actually going to have SGC at it, and I will be hand walking this guy to their booth at that time to get this crossed over so we can avoid the situation. Those of you who saw my video on this card of the label up here saying Dale Murray. So
it's outrageous, egregious, preposterous.
Yeah, happy to get rid of that soon. But also with 44, Oxford Confectionery, a 1921 set that consisted of only 20 cards. That is fairly rare here across the board, with this one being a population of 44. And it is kind of it's one of the popular sets for people to collect. So these cards do fetch a premium, especially of the higher level stars. So I was able to snag this, Dave Bancroft being a guy that most would say squeaked into the Hall of Fame via a corrupt Veterans Committee at the time. That's a subject for another video.
Sounds scandalous.
But beautiful set that consists of some really good baseball players here. Next, number 7, population of 31, another rare set from the 1920s. This one, the 21 to 23 National Caramel set, issued over 3 years by the National Caramel Company of Lancaster, Pennsylvania. And this set is notorious for most of the cards being off center. So I was happy to be able to get this one, regardless of the centering.
Dylan, can you hear me?
And with the low quantity, I fell in love with this picture of Rogers Hornsby. The only cards that show this photo are the 1921 exhibits, this one, and then the W590 set from 1925 to 31, a strip card set, has a tighter cropped version of this photo. But I like this one that's zoomed out more. And so I really wanted to add this one. And I was fortunate enough to get this one in the most recent Heritage auction. So really happy to have this card in my collection. Up next, we are at 47 Bond Bread with the Joe Gordon with a population of 28. And once again, a case where a lesser Hall of Famer gets graded less, because I also have the Joe DiMaggio from this set, but he has been graded 65 times, so he did not make my top 10. But Mr. Joe Gordon does, with this beautiful shot of him that is replicated from his same image that appears on his 1941 double play card, the action variant. The double play set has 2 different photo styles for the folks, where it's an action photo or a tight portrait shot. And this one appeared of him in the 1941 set. So an older photo that was used here for this 1947 set. Up next, Travis Jackson, shortstop Hall of Famer from the New York Giants. When like I said, the W590 that I had mentioned has the same photo of the Hornsby. This 1925 to 31 issued was hand cut strip cards that came in a strip, I believe, of like 4 cards per strip. That then would get chopped up, and this one obviously got cut a little short on the sides, and so it ends up getting the authentic. When I get it switched to SGC, they'll probably say authentic min size because it's a little narrow. It doesn't have quite enough side border in order to be a large enough card for a number grade. It is a total graded population here of 27 for this set. So uh, these ones are not quite as popular like as the Oxford Confectionery, so they do tend to go a bit cheaper. So if you are looking for a photo card of folks that are stars in the 20s or late 20s, this would be a set that I would take a look at, because there was in the recent, I believe, REA auction, a Ty Cobb that was chopped a little short on the top of the card that did sell, I think, for even less than $1,000 from this set, which is a great bargain for any Ty Cobb playing days card. So, um, I would take a look if I were you, if you're looking for a 1920s photo card bargain. So. Blank back on these, by the way, like most all of your hand cut cards are going to end up being blank backs. So up next, number 4, we are at another E220 card. This one being of Frankie Frisch, Hall of Famer at the started his first half of his career with the New York Giants. This says third base. The next season after this was printed, he moved to second base, where he spent the majority of the rest of his career. He was part of the trade with Rogers Hornsby in December of 25 that sent Hornsby to the Giants and Frisch to the Cardinals. Kind of a most significant one there was a pitcher on the side included with Frisch who wasn't that significant ultimately, but 2 Hall of Famers in their primes is a very rare happening as far as trades in any kind of sports history, honestly. So this one was rattled across, because especially considering the fact that Rogers Hornsby and the Cardinals actually won the World Series in 1925. And so the fact that they traded their player manager for their World Series champion team to another team for the team captain of that other team was just crazy and unheard of. So, you know, this, back in the day, if they would have had Twitter would have been blowing up in 1925.
Are you freaking kidding me?
So, but anyways, back this population card on this one is 22, as it is a lesser star, so it gets some of them less graded than like the Hornsby had at 31. So up next, number 3, my one Venezuelan card. I was did not realize, and actually built my top 10 list and totally forgot about this one. And then it's like, oh, I wonder what the population of my Venezuelan card is. And I found it was 18. So becomes my number 3 card. And it's
Now that's silly.
a great looking Venezuelan with Tony Oliva from the 1968 set. So quite the surprise addition to my list. Uh, Number 2, I have got another hand cut strip card. This one is the 1922 W573 that has the same look as the 1922 American Caramel E120 set that has these ornate borders. Only this one then is blank back, and as you can see, you're going to get them a bit misshapen because they end up getting hand cut. And so here we have my favorite grade in pre-war with the authentic min size on this one. But this one is much lower population than those E120s with the W573 set. So only 12 on this guy. But of course, he is more of a fringe Hall of Famer. So once again, he's going to be less graded than the higher level stars. But up next, number 1 card is my AEC, as in Edgar Charles Rice, better known as Sam Rice. And this set here being the 1921 to 22 W575-1, another hand-cut strip card version that looks very similar then to the 1921 American Caramel E121 issue. So basically the identical front design then with a blank back. And again, you're going to get misshapen cuts with them being hand cut. And here again, authentic min size, leading to a very nice affordable price for me. So
A bargain is a bargain, Robin.
I will take that. And such a great shot on this one. Same photo used on many different sets for him. Originally, I think they appear on 1917 cards. So they kind of used this photo in multiple sets there over about a 4 or 5 year period. So great shot of Mr. Rice there. So there we go. My total score overall for my top 10 ends up being 279.
Not even close!
Which I know is nowhere near the top in this type of contest. But for a guy who has really only started buying these rarer cards for my oldest one of these I've probably had for maybe about a year and a half to not, I don't think it's been 2 years. I think it's closer to like the year and a half. So I'd say a very respectable tally. So
It's okay, you're okay.
but all in fun and just a fun way to participate with others across the community.
That's just what losers say.
Here and everybody. So thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.
Well, see you next time.
Yeah, unless I get lucky and break a leg.
Yeah, and monkeys might fly out of my butt.